Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Yeah, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. That you would bear my cross. You laid down your life. That I would be set free. Whoa, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Yeah, all that you've done for me. All right, church, what a great way to start a Sunday morning. I'm so excited. I'm so excited just to serve a really good God. I hope you guys came expecting this morning because we got some awesome things planned for you. So let's just continue. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song, yes, of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears have calmed. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God, yes. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Yes, I am. I am. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Oh, love has called my name. I've been born again into your family. Yes. Oh, your blood flows through my veins. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, and I am a child of God. Bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name, still call the sea to still, the rage in me to still every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, breathe, call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, 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 your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. before, moved by the sound of his voice, seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So
Well, I'm shaking. That was dope. Aria can lead some vocals. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, grab a seat. We're wrapping up our musical time of worship here. I just want to say thanks so much for worshiping with us. If you're new here, welcome. If this is your first time, I just want to say hi. My name is Rebecca. I'm one of the teaching pastors. I had the honor to lead worship this morning, which is so great. And so I just want to say welcome. I'm really glad that you're in the room this morning. We're in our Daniel series, and so we have someone else coming to speak this morning, which I'll chat about in a minute. Hey, I just have a couple quick announcements for you before we get into our message. The first one is we have Trunk or Treat coming up this Saturday. Yeah. Listen, this is our biggest community event, and so I just want to say truly, it is the way that we have the most impact in Spark. So many people come through here. I mean, thousands of people come through at Trunk or Treat. So right now, we're rocking about 20 trunks. Usually we have between 30 and 40. And so if you've been like on the fence about signing up for doing a trunk, please sign up. If you have questions or concerns about decorating your trunk, it doesn't have to be fancy or like you don't have to go all out. You can actually also just go to Amazon and look for like trunk decorating kits and you can find one. It's kind of awesome. But also we have stuff here because we're a church and we love kids and we have a lot of nonsense in this building. And so if you want to host a trunk, just go to the welcome counter, sign up, and you can reach out to us this week and we'll help you decorate your trunk. We also need candy. We have about 75 bags of candy. Usually we have between 300 and 400. So the church will buy all those bags this week, but we would love your help if you're thinking about bringing some in. You can't bring them next week because the event will be over, so we need you to bring them this week. Or right now you could take your phone out and you could scan that QR code. That's going to take you to our Amazon wish list. And that way you can just order candy online and then ship it to our building. That's also at the welcome counter and kind of around the lobby out there if you want to scan it later. We'd really love your help participating in this event. It's just the best. So I'm excited about it. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is if you want to participate in financial giving, if you call the Rock Church home, there's a bunch of ways to do that. They're up on the screen. You can also just go to the welcome counter and they'll walk you through how to get any of those things set up. But we would love to just invite you to participate in what we're doing here. The mission of the Rock is to create a safe place for all people. We are wildly inclusive, fairly obnoxious about it. And so that's a way that you can participate here and just making sure people have a safe place to belong, a safe place to explore faith and kind of figure out what they believe about Jesus, okay? So it's my honor to get to introduce Dr. Brandon Evans. He and I have been kind of tag teaming behind the scenes on this series, but you're about to see a lot more of him in the second half of Daniel. So he's bringing the word this morning. We're in Daniel 6, and I'm just so grateful for his brain. I'm grateful for the way that he communicates. He has a passion for Jesus. He has a passion for the word, and so get excited if you weren't excited when you walked in here. I can't wait to learn from him this morning. And as he comes up, we're just going to play Daniel chapter 6, so you have it like in your soul as he comes and he brings the word to us. Thanks.
Daniel chapter 6. Daniel in the lion's den. Darius the Mede decided to divide the kingdom into 120 provinces, and he appointed a high officer to rule over each province. The king also chose Daniel and 2 others as administrators to supervise the high officers and protect the king's interests. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other administrators and high officers. Because of Daniel's great ability, the king made plans to place him over the entire empire. Then the other administrators and high officers began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs, but they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So they concluded, our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. So the administrators and high officers went to the king and said, "Long live King Darius! We are all in agreement, we administrators, officials, high officers, advisors, and governors, that the king should make a law that will be strictly enforced. Give orders that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions. And now, your majesty, issue and sign this law so it cannot be changed, an official law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be revoked. So King Darius signed the law. But when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room, with its windows open toward Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. Then the officials went together to Daniel's house and found him praying and asking for God's help. So they went straight to the king and reminded him about his law. Did you not sign a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions? Yes, the king replied. That decision stands. It is an official law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be revoked. Then they told the king, that man Daniel, one of the captives from Judah, is ignoring you and your law. He still prays to his God 3 times a day. Hearing this, the king was deeply troubled, and he tried to think of a way to save Daniel. He spent the rest of the day looking for a way to get Daniel out of this predicament. In the evening, the men went together to the king and said, Your Majesty, you know that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, no law that the king signs can be changed. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be arrested and thrown into the den of lions. The king said to him, May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. The king sealed the stone with his own royal seal and the seals of his nobles, so that no one could rescue Daniel. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night fasting. He refused his usual entertainment and couldn't sleep at all that night. Very early the next morning, the king got up and hurried out to the lion's den. When he got there, he called out in anguish, Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God whom you serve so faithfully able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel answered, Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty. The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be lifted from the den. Not a scratch was found on him, for he had trusted in his God. Then the king gave orders to arrest the men who had maliciously accused Daniel. He had them thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. The lions leaped on them and tore them apart before they even hit the floor of the den. Then King Darius sent this message to the people of every race and nation and language throughout the world. Peace and prosperity to you. I decree that everyone throughout my kingdom should tremble with fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he will endure forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his rule will never end. He rescues and saves his people. He performs miraculous signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Got all that? See, my job is really easy now. It's done. Just be like, go in peace. You just heard the story. I'm Brandon. Yeah, Rebecca gave a nice introduction, so I don't feel like I have to talk about myself at all. She and I have been co-teaching the series. You've heard a lot more of her. She's taken you through this first half of Daniel where, you've got dreams and statues and trees and all sorts of, Babylonian shenanigans leading to this final chapter, chapter 6, before the book gets really weird. So stay tuned for that. But this is Daniel in the Lion's Den. How many of you know this story before you even heard it on the screen there? How many of you have known it since you were like a child? Yeah. This is one of the most well-known stories in the Bible. It is a story that is taught to kids, basically as soon as they're able to hear. I was a child, one of those children. I knew this story before I could read it. We had the picture Bible, it's Daniel in a white robe. He's also a white guy, which is funny. Just chilling with the lions, and the king's looking in, and I vividly remember this, and it was taught to me in really simple forms. Here's the king who is duped basically by these rulers who are jealous of Daniel. They want to try to pin him. They can't because he's too perfect, and so they trick the king into creating this law that he can't change, and Daniel remains faithful, continues to pray, and so he is forced to be thrown into the lion's den. God saves him, and then that's the end. They didn't tell us kids the part where the bad guys are thrown in with their wives and children and then devoured. Like, we'll wait till you're a little older on that one. But the meaning was simple. If you are faithful, God will rescue you, right? He'll stop the lions in your life if you are faithful. That is the meaning of this passage as it was taught. I never actually read this story until I was then in my early 20s, and it made a lot less sense to my adult brain. Although as a guy in your early 20s, it's more like an old teenage brain. I don't think we figured it out till our 40s. But I had at least some of the skepticism that was like, this doesn't seem that believable. Are you with me on that? Do you have a more of a critical thinking mind, a skeptical mind? You read a story like this and you're like, that just doesn't seem real. You can be honest here. Yeah, right? You're like, okay, this is the most powerful man in the world, and he is tricked. He's like a doofus. And then he creates a law that he can't undo. He can't just create another one. You obviously have, Daniel surviving the lions, which people will be like, that's just silly. That's not how the world works. And then there's hyperbole. The rulers, when they are thrown in with their wives and children, have their bones crushed before they even hit the floor. That's not how it works. There's a lot of things in this story, reading it for the first time as an adult, where it's like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't seem to be in line with what I had just believed as a child, trusted as a child. But faith kicked in. It was like, no, this is the Bible. The Bible is never wrong. This is how it happened. This is we just gotta accept it. Trust God in this, right? But then I made the mistake of studying Daniel for my doctoral thesis. And there was a bunch of conflicting historical evidence that really messed with me. I mean, there are a number of aspects in this story that credible historical evidence refutes. Namely that Darius, there's no evidence that he existed. And there's a lot of evidence from this time, so it's not like it's just a gap. It's like there is just no evidence that this guy existed. Nor did the Medes take over Babylon, and it is Darius the Mede. Historically, it is pretty certain that this isn't the real guy. There's no evidence that the laws of the Medes and Persians can't be changed. In fact, there's evidence contrary to that. Later Persian kings changed laws that they had created. The Medes and Persians were actually pretty religiously tolerant, so it's really implausible that they would create a law that would basically say you can't worship anyone else but the king for 30 days. And the number of provinces, as this translation puts it, is way exaggerated from what was actually instituted later in the Persian period. In almost every aspect of this story, the historical evidence conflicts with the meaning as we are often taught it. This was hard for me to handle. Have you ever been in a situation like this where you believe something and then new information comes along and it really challenges what you think or believe? Yeah, all the time, right? That's life. We have simplistic understanding of certain subjects, even people, events, and then the more we know, the more we learn, the more we might realize our previous understanding was wrong, and it is not comfortable. Kind of sucks, right? You don't want to be told that what you had thought the whole time was wrong. What do we do with this? This happens all the time. It happens in relationships. You might have an idea of something, and then as you gain more experience, more information about it, it changes what you had thought and believed. You might be in a field of vocational field. You might be someone that has an area of expertise and realize that the training that you got was grossly incomplete or even wrong at points. There was actually, do you listen to the Huberman Lab podcast? Do you know Huberman? So he recently had an episode where he had a physician on there who made the claim that 50% of the information in modern medical textbooks is either wrong, outdated, or incomplete based on what we know now. These are the current medical textbooks. So, meaning if you are, a doctor who just graduated from med school, you have to either unlearn or significantly adjust half of what you learned, which is a lot. It's not like they're learning two things and like one just needs to be tweaked. It's like it's a lot of information. 50% of what I'm going to say today is wrong, and you're just going to have to figure out which 50%. But as we continue in life, we gain new understanding. The world is not as simple as we think, and we have to do something with that. Do you experience this? Like it's a challenge, right? Especially when you are confronted with it and then realize, like, I really can't go back to how I understood it. I had a really simple example of this. I went to Disneyland as a kid, like 5 or 6 years old. It's the Magic Kingdom. It's amazing. I'm like this tiny child walking around. This thing is huge. It was my mom's tradition to always ride the Peter Pan ride first. Have you ridden this ride? You're in a pirate ship and you fly over London and you're going to Neverland. And as a 5 or 6 year old child, I was just amazed. Like, this is so cool. Like, it's magical. We're going to Neverland. The next time I went to Disneyland, I was 14 and obviously had lived enough life to know it just wasn't real. This wasn't a real pirate ship. Those were just miniature buildings made to look like London, and we weren't actually going to Neverland. Just enough life experience and information about how the world worked to blow up the magical view that I had as a child. This is what happens in life all the time. We gain new information, and it challenges what we think or believe, and we have to do something with this. There is a fork in the road. We will always face this kind of decision-making process where we can choose to deny or explain away the uncomfortable information. No, I was 100% correct. I don't believe it. And stick to it. Like, the information's wrong, I'm right. That is a path of fear, right? It is an unwillingness to accept truths out of fear. And so, guard ourselves, protect, defend, refuse to accept contrary views, opinions, evidence. Just no. Stick to our guns. That doesn't work in life. It is fear-based. It causes us to not grow as people. But the other path in this fork is to accept the information. Given that it's credible, it doesn't mean you're just naively accepting anything you hear, but if it is credible evidence, to accept it and then move forward in new understanding. This is the path of faith. It is being willing to admit, hey, I had an either incomplete or incorrect view, and this new information has helped me move forward in a deeper, fuller, truer understanding. We face this in life all the time. But here's the problem. When it comes to the Bible and the things of Christianity, people confuse those two paths and think sticking to what we've always believed is the path of faith. It's not, it's the path of fear. It is an unwillingness to accept that maybe God is bigger and more complicated than we had previously understood, that maybe the world is a little more sophisticated than we had previously understood. And so when we encounter uncomfortable aspects of the Bible, and there are many, if you read the Bible with any level of scrutiny, you will come across this all the time. The book of Daniel puts it really in the forefront here from a historical standpoint, but you will get it in all sorts of areas. The path of fear is to say, no, I don't accept it, dismiss it, deny it, and then just keep doing what I'm doing. But I think actually a real, legitimate, robust, and healthy Christian faith is one that embraces change and growth. It is actually strong enough to do that. It is a growth mindset in which when a Christian has a growth mindset, I think that is evidence of a deep and powerful faith. Do you agree? Like to be able to go, okay, great. All truth is God's truth. There is nothing that we need to shrink back from. Let's figure it out and let's move forward. That is faith. The other way is to just tuck away in fear because you don't like the scary possibilities of having to change your mind. It doesn't mean you're quick to change your mind, just that you are open to, given credible, new evidence. Some people say, well, you got to have childlike faith. Yeah, exactly, because childlike faith is open to mystery and open to wonder and is curious. Childlike faith is not stupid. So for us as Christians to have a childlike faith is to operate from trust that whatever we are encountering is okay. We can evaluate it, adapt, assimilate it, and then grow. And that is for our betterment. That is actually the path of faith. Again, this will happen all the time if you read the Bible. Having a closed-minded, fear-based approach to it will just choke out a lot of the power that comes through the Word of God. You have the choice. Path of fear, path of faith. Let me tie this back to the book of Daniel. You're like, where is this going? When confronted with the historical complications of the book, we can take that path of fear and go, no, the Bible's 100% correct, and deny or explain away the uncomfortable details. A lot of people do this. They're like, no, Daniel's 100% correct. Don't trust the historians. They're wrong. Or, well, Darius, of course, existed. We'll discover it someday. Or, some will actually, and this is even scholars doing this, saying, well, Darius is just another name for someone that actually existed. It's like, okay, none of that is honest. And it's really hard to, engage your full brain when you think that you have to defend the Word of God from anything that is uncomfortable. The path of fear is just to say, no, don't challenge anything historically. It's okay. Daniel's 100% correct. But when we do this, there are some problems because it makes promises that God is not making. Namely, in this case, that He'll stop the lions if you're faithful. Metaphorically, the lions, or even really the lions. It's really interesting. The early Christians under the Roman government were fed to lions. Do you know this? Damnatio ad bestia. Damn to the beasts. They did it for spectacle, for sport, throwing Christians to the lions. And we don't know how many, but there were a bunch. The Romans were pretty good at killing people. And there's not a single report of one of them surviving the lions. It just doesn't work that way. Faithful Christians going to death by the same measure Daniel was thrown to and then not coming out with Daniel's fate. But if we're thinking, hey, if you're just faithful, God's going to stop the lions in your life and it doesn't happen, then what do? We go, well, then God doesn't exist, or God's not here, God's not working. It creates a house of cards for our faith. But if we take the path of faith, except historically there's something off here, I think we can actually see what Daniel is doing, what the author of this book is doing, and how much more powerful and interesting it actually is. We take the path of faith and say, all right, God, this doesn't jive with what we know of history. It's okay, what do we do with this? This was the fork that I took, or the part of the fork that I took, and I feel like it was better off for it to go, okay, I'll embrace the uncomfortable truths here rather than just stick to what I had believed as a child and grow and understand it differently. And this is what comes out when you see Daniel as not trying to convey accurate history, but doing something else, which is okay. A lot of the Bible is not meant to be historically accurate. A lot of it is narrative. A lot of it is poetic. It's okay. This is the holy text that we have received. We often want a very simple Bible, right? One that is just very logical, linear, and tells all the facts, so we just have all the... That's just not the Bible we have. And that's okay. I think there's a beautiful complexity to it that other holy books really can't claim because they are simple, linear, and clear. The Bible is just beautifully complex, and we can embrace that. So with Daniel here, if you go, okay, historically there's something that's not jiving, what's going on, you can actually see that this is biting satire. This is satirical historical fiction, if you want to put it that way. That probably might ruffle your feathers, but this is the genre. This is an apocalyptic work. The author of Daniel has consistently shown through satire the folly of these powerful rulers. I mean, Darius in this story is a moron, right? He's just duped by these people. Hey, why don't you create a law? Okay. Oh, hey, remember that law that you created? What? Oh, yeah. It's like mocking these kings, just like, as Rebecca showed you, Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, like they are made to look really silly. That's satire. The author's making a mockery of the laws and leaders of the country. They are logically inconsistent. Their legislative process is a clown show. Contrast that to God's law, which is not, which is what he's doing. The kings are dumb, but God is wise. The laws of the empire are ridiculous, but God's law is perfect. The rulers are all, petty and evil, in contrast to Daniel, who is embodying God's character. He's not. This is like a political cartoon. And it's really fun. I actually believe the original audience of Daniel would laugh. And satire has a way of making really profound points through the humor. And that's what the purpose of this text was. This was written during a time when the Jews were in the midst of a revolution. 2nd century BC, they were under the sovereignty of the Greeks, namely the Seleucid Empire, that was led by a man named Antiochus Epiphanes. This will be on the test later, so remember all this. But he was a monster in history. This is the time, though, that the story of Hanukkah comes out. Do you know the story of Hanukkah? As a kid, I understood it as you get 8 days of presents. Then I gained new information, was like, oh, there's something else going on. This is a lot better. But I remember as a child, it's like, Mom, Dad, why aren't we Jewish? There's a lot of Jewish stuff in the Bible. Why don't we also get 8 days of presents? But no, the story of Hanukkah is amazing. This is when Daniel was written, around this time. Antiochus was utterly despicable to the Jews that he was ruling over. And I mean, he did everything. I mean, he tried to force them into Greek culture and religion and customs. Does that sound familiar? That's what Nebuchadnezzar is doing in chapter 1. This is what the Jews were under. It's like he is just trying to make them Greeks. He outlawed Jewish practices like circumcision, Sabbath, reading the Torah, the very fundamental things that they practiced in their religion. He's like, can't do it anymore. And then moreover, in the temple, he set up an altar to Zeus and then slaughtered pigs, which if you know anything about Judaism, like that is the most offensive thing you can do. He did it just to be a wicked, vicious ruler over these people. That is the context that Daniel is written. Daniel is a book with a biting message to resist that, reject all of that. Daniel stirred people up, and there was a violent revolt. We don't know what role Daniel played in that, but Daniel being written around that time to effectively say, screw the empire. Because, I mean, that's what he's doing, like just mocking empire all the way through. And some of these later chapters that Rebecca and I will go through, you'll see it's really on the nose with the Greeks. But it is encouraging people to rebel against that kind of behavior. It actually led to a violent revolt, and the Jews, for the first time since the Babylonians took them over, had sovereignty over their land. They won. They had a military battle, and they won, and they were able to be free in their land for the first time in centuries. And the book of Daniel was part of the imagination that fed that. And then as the story of Hanukkah goes, when they rededicated the temple after getting it back, they had only one jar of consecrated oil, and it was enough to last like a day, but it miraculously lasted 8. God had provided, and that became the theological symbol of their victory. Daniel was written to this. Daniel was something that fed the imagination of the people to stand firm in their faith, to fight against the evils of the empire. and to do so while maintaining like a true faithfulness character of God. That's what Daniel's showing. I was talking to Rebecca about this passage. I was like, I'm a little nervous to get up here and kind of give my views on this. She's like, do it. But then we're talking about how Daniel operates, like how he's depicted in this chapter with the lion's den. You know, he's often presented as just faithful guy, goes and prays. Rebecca's like, he's flagrantly disregarding the law. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what he's doing. That's a perfect way to put it. I'm stealing that. He is flagrantly disregarding the law. He might as well be praying with his middle finger up, right? This is not him just like, this is just my routine. I pray 3 times a day. No, he has learned that you cannot do this. And there's nothing in the Jewish law that said you had to pray 3 times a day or face Jerusalem or any of the things that he's doing. But he's just like, you know what? I'm going to do it harder now. Any of you like that? Are you like kind of people you told not to do something? You're like, well, I'm just going to do it more now. Like that's the model. That's what he's doing here. And silly Darius is, oh my gosh, I don't know. I can't believe this. And the wicked rulers that are out there trying to trap Daniel. It's like Daniel's character is shown. It's like he ain't wavering. He is being a faithful Jew at the time, but he is modeling God's character. And he's flagrantly disregarding the law. He's showing flagrant faithfulness. This is inspiring. Like this is something where, you see in the midst of oppression, you see in the midst of evil, the flagrant faithfulness of God's people wins out, right? Like I'm not telling you to rebel against the government. I'm also not telling you that. Just kidding, don't do it. They have nukes and stuff. But there is a way to be flagrantly rebellious in faith. Say, we will not participate in the evils of the empire. We will not be those that are caving in to just the way the world works. There's a resoluteness in being a Christian. There is a boldness, and at times a flagrant disregard for what we're told to do or not to do. That is in line with God's character. There are certain ways where Christians will do that, and it's like, no, that was the wrong fork of the road that you took. But there are times where it's like, no. The power of God is shown through the flagrant faithfulness of his people. And that is really inspiring. Christians have been doing this for centuries. That is historical fact. I want to invite the band up, because this is where this really ties in. Daniel being a story that, call it what you want, but most likely historically did not happen. But it's picked up in Jesus' story that did. Jesus' death and resurrection, which is historically credible, did something where the gospel writers, when they're writing about Jesus, were like, he is Daniel. Like he is the real fulfillment of Daniel's story in a number of junctures, especially chapter 6. You see the comparisons between these two figures. Daniel refused to bow to the empire. Jesus refused to bow to the empire. Daniel was falsely accused. Jesus was falsely accused. Daniel was thrown into a pit. Jesus was thrown into a tomb. Daniel survived and emerged out of the pit vindicated by God. Jesus was dead, but emerged from the tomb vindicated by God. Somewhere Jesus is the fulfillment of what this story was about the whole time. Real historical truths coming out where Christianity doesn't make sense without it. The beginning of Christianity certainly does not make sense without the historical death and resurrection of Jesus. And the literature that had fed the imagination of the Jewish people who watched their Messiah crucified and rise, like, whoa, Daniel takes on a whole new meaning. They were open to the new information to see what they had previously thought that book meant and then what it meant in light of Jesus. It changed. It grew, it developed, and launched this revolution known as Christianity you and I are beneficiaries today. The power of God has always been on display through the flagrant faithfulness of God's people. He is with you. So I guess the question I'll close with, where in your life are you facing that fork? To take the path of fear, stick to what you've always thought and believed and just deny everything else, or to take the path of faith? I hope you take that one, because it will lead to your growth, your maturity. You'll be better off for it. Worship with that in mind.
Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He.
it's just a joy and an honor to get to worship with you guys. Brandon, thank you so much for ruffling our feathers and, making us uncomfortable. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Hey, if this is your first time and you don't know about kind of how we do things at the end of service, we have a prayer team that meets up in that corner. I really want to invite you to tap into those yahoos. They are just fantastic humans that love participating and joining with you in prayer. So if you have a prayer request, you can just leave that with them and they'll pray for you throughout the week. Or if you want to sit with them and pray with them now, they would love to hold space for you to do so. We also have communion at all the doors, including back in that corner. You can have a prayer team member lead you through communion, or you can just take it and take communion with you in your car sometime this week as you see fit. Hey, I pray that this week you walk in faith. And the things that make us really uncomfortable and make us feel threatened and that we cling to so diligently, maybe we set those things down. Maybe we surrender them this week and we walk out in faith. Love you guys. See you next week.